You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show.
Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. You know what time it is. You know where you are. This is the AfterBuzz TV Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show. We're talking about Season 1, Episode 22, the finale, the beginning of the end. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, as always, the fantastic and talented panel is all here. Megan Salinas is here.
Hey there, Agents.
Kristin Carole is here.
Hey, everyone.
Joyce Ajouri is here.
No, it's over.
No, I know. It's bittersweet, but it was a fantastic finale. We got lots to talk about, and we have a couple of very special guests tonight. In the studio with us, we have the editor of this episode, David Crabtree, is here.
Yay! Hi, David.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so happy to have you, and we're going to talk to you all about, you know, cutting this episode and what it was like working in post on it and working on, you know, the entire season. We also have potentially J. August Richards was supposed to join us live in studio.
He got stuck in Chicago.
He got stuck in Chicago.
My hometown's just keeping him.
I know. Well, I mean, he's a precious resource, you know. So he's going to be calling in later on the show. Hopefully, we're able to get that worked out.
Worst comes to worst, we'll call him at his hotel.
Yes. You know.
That would be kind of fun. Let's wake up Deathlok, you guys.
Yeah.
Have like room service. You're
Yeah.
like, pick up the phone.
Well, I mean, he's no longer dangerous. He got his son back after a fashion, or at least he's out of danger. You know. So let's get into it, folks. What did you think of this finale?
Oh my gosh, it was just, I think this says a lot to your talent as an editor, because this episode was like perfectly paced, and it was an emotional roller coaster ride. We go from being really sad and moving to like really triumphant and then funny, and oh my gosh, it just hit every single mark. It was great.
I agree. I mean, since you know, one of the breaks, the show's gotten so much better, but this episode in particular just hit so many heartstrings. It was really good. It was awesome.
I think definitely, and it just makes you more excited for season 2, and then you're like, oh, I gotta wait that long? Like, I was so excited the whole show, and at the end I'm like, I gotta wait like what, 6 months until this comes back on? That sucks. Like, that sucks.
No one's happy about that. No.
Because it did pick up so much, like you said.
Absolutely.
You know, that you're like, well, could you have like another half of the season? Because at first, like...
Now
Right.
that the ball has officially like picked up a lot of speed and is really rolling, like, and now we have to stop and wait again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, no.
Well, you know, you remember earlier in the season we had that episode, The End of the Beginning, which was all about, you know, the Hydra attack and how everything was changing, and now we have the beginning of the end, and I feel like everything in that whole run of episodes, I can't think of a weak link among them. It was a really fantastic back half of the season, and hopefully, you know, through streaming and through word of mouth in the off season, a lot of those folks who maybe, you know, bailed after the first couple and didn't get into this great run of episodes can finally catch up and join us and really learn to enjoy this series the way it was meant to be enjoyed.
Totally.
Yeah.
Real
ahead.
quick, David, when you first read the script, what was your reaction to the finale?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was totally, it was amazing. And it's interesting you brought up the end of the beginning. That's actually the first episode I cut.
Really?
When I came to the series.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
So I think we should
full
attribute
circle.
this, like,
Well, I'm not-
great
Please,
thing to you.
yeah. I was very fortunate to be able to come onto this show, and that was my first one. So I've had a lot of fun cutting 3 episodes toward the end of the season, starting with that one. But yeah, when I read this episode, I mean, when I read the script, it just like blew my mind, you know, and you know, and everything is so hush hush over at Marvel, and so, you know, the Sam Jackson thing was very undercover, and so that was fun because it wasn't even in the script, you know, as far as like who it was going to be. And so, you know, it was really kind of fun to see, you know, the rumors kind of come in.
How was it labeled in the script? Or were just those scenes not in it? Were there false pages?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could say I was labeled, but it wasn't labeled Fury.
Okay.
So it's like Muri,
Yeah.
like Tick Muri or something.
Yeah, Tick Muri.
Is it like a redacted S.H.I.E.L.D. document where they're just pages and pages of like?
You know what? It's kind of like that. It really is. Yeah. No, it's they take that stuff very seriously because we all want it to be a great surprise for the audience when they see it.
Absolutely.
And it definitely was.
Yes. So let's jump into the top of this episode. We open, and I feel like it's not. It maybe I'm overstating, but I feel like often in season finales of a Joss Whedon produced series, they'll open with a new environment and new characters that we haven't seen before in an attempt to kind of blow out the world just a little bit more or to gain new perspective. I feel like I've seen it before, but I honestly can't think of a specific example off the top of my head.
I can't think of an example like that in terms of like television, but from this opening, I had like kind of a very cabin in the woods feel to it, and just in terms of like what the corporation was like. Like this was a very like down to earth, cubicle environment, but at the same time, this is like a corporation that is like plotting, worldwide like kind of evil schemes.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because of J. August Richards and he was going to be in here and I was going to do Spotlight on. I rewatched Angel and I was a big fan like growing up, and then rewatching that, remembering that in that Whedon produced show they had a firm like a
the law firm,
the law firm, Wolfram and Hart, and seemingly. I mean, it's a law firm, but seemingly
but it seems
regular,
innocuous, yeah.
Right, seemingly innocuous, but
Mm-hmm.
dealing in demons and all of that. But we have these people who are operating under this mysterious incentives package, which is teased over the course of the episode. And we get this great moment where we look down at the screen. It's like, we don't like those guys.
Those guys are jerks.
Right, and we see exactly who our S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were dealing with at the end of the last episode.
And I like how they panned right when we find out, we don't like these guys, and you see cyber tech in the background just as they
Just to
start to do
solidify that feeling.
Yeah.
Because
Now
you don't really know where they're from at first.
it's true, and now we realize, okay, this is what this is. When they're talking about systems, they're talking about super soldiers, and now we see the aftermath of our folks being trapped in Cuba. And, they get out fairly easily. I'm like, May punched that dude in the face and immediately stole the rage staff. Okay? It didn't even, it weren't even a thing.
I was like, their soldiers
just so
are
you guys know,
terrible.
there actually was a little bit more to that fight, but the first cut comes in 13 minutes over. And,
Oh, wow.
And this particular show, and then it's a matter of like, where can we cut it? And it's like, and it's absolutely. But May's a badass.
She's a badass.
Yeah.
She can get it
We
in
don't
one hit.
question
she could do that in one shot. There's no doubt about it.
It's true. There was absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind that that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because we had Casey Adams, one of the stunt guys, in here, and he was saying that they do all these extra things sometimes, and it's just...
And a
They
lot
don't make
ends up
it.
getting cut, ends up on the cutting room floor, and you never know what's actually going to make it into the episode and what's going to end up on.
As an
getting
editor, is
cut.
that something that you help with? Do you say, what stuff might be better?
I mean, absolutely. We as an editor, we get to have the first cut, and so of course, we read the script and we're looking at the line, the pages, and there might be some director's notes, or we might get some notes from the producer. But for the most part, we have carte blanche to kind of cut it the way we want it. And a lot of it stays the same, actually. But then after that, the director comes in for 4 days. The director gets their cut. They can change any of the takes they want. They can sometimes they can even start, cutting lines, or, even get more intense than that. But usually it's a matter of, just trying to pace it the way they want it. So they got their 4 days. The producers come in for a week. They've got their week. And then it goes to the studio and the network for the final notes.
So from the time it gets to you to kind of put together a rough cut, and between the time that the final cut gets put out and everything, what's the time range on that? Like, because it seems like it's a very quick turnaround time.
It does move pretty fast. And on this show we shoot for about 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's 8, and then there's another day that kind of
Like a flex day.
it's kind of a flex day where they shoot 2 episodes in one day, so they kind of have 2 units going. But on this particular episode, we had second unit going, I think, 4 to 5 days for all this all this crazy action stuff. So really, I had about 14 days worth of dailies to cut, and my assistant Eric Littman did a lot. One of the other editors, Josh Charson, also cut some scenes for us, and we all kind of had to rally for this. But generally, I'd say it takes about 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, we're cutting as we get the dailies. We get a few days extra to finish our cut. Directors get their 4, producers get their week. It's about 4 weeks.
Great.
Yeah.
So our folks are able to get out of Cuba. Sky was able to upload her virus, her activator Trojan horse, so now she has full access to all of the Hydra systems via her phone. Everyone's very excited about that. Trip's getting patched up. But before we get into all of our Coulson group stuff and all of the Garrett stuff, I want to talk about Fitz and Simmons, who kind of have their own little bottle episode for the first half, and I feel like I was very satisfied with what we got from them, not necessarily knowing how Fitz was going to be when he wakes up. That incredibly moving scene when Fitz, just pushed and pushed and pushed Simmons to take the rebreather to be able to get out alive. He was sacrificing himself for her, and he finally was able to get up the guts and tell her how he felt. And we were all like, yay, and then aw, and then yay, and then aw, and then yay.
Well, for a second, I thought, because that first part of their conversation where she discovered the glass, before she mentioned the glass, he was so close to telling her, and he didn't get the chance at that moment. I was like, no, you have to say something. But all I have to say is I hope that, he wasn't too late. Like, he said what he had to say, but now, hopefully he's still okay after he recovers,
Because, we haven't seen sort of, the fallout and consequences, because what's really good about this show is even though, in terms of, our main character cast, there hasn't really been a big body count, they show that, when stuff like this happens, like when Mike Peterson is in an explosion, those even if they live, there are serious consequences to having survived things like that, and I think that's something that the show does really well.
Yeah, and there's no more GH325 to just miraculously heal him. So, he may not be as smart as he once was.
All the S.H.I.E.L.D. doctors probably aren't there anymore, so they can't help him aside from Gemma, who's probably not going to go.
Although he has Fury's doctor, and they brought him back to life, so at least he's in good hands that way. I mean, he may not come back completely, like you said, not as smart or something, lacking that way, but at least he's in good hands that they can keep him alive.
Yeah. I just thought it was incredibly moving in this sequence, and David, you can speak to your experience editing it. We start with them in this very kind of hopeless place on Fitz's end, and then as Simmons, comes to understand really how dire their predicament is, then we kind of have this turn of this bit of hope, but Fitz realizing that there's no way that they'll both make it out alive, and then his impassioned plea. When you're editing a scene like this, and you have a lot of different emotional notes, how do you pace it? What's the key?
Well, I think you just go by instinct. And, the thing is, that's my favorite scene. Hands down, I just love that scene. And then also, the heroic part at the end with the helicopter and everything. But the emotional part of that, I think you just really kind of have to just follow your instinct. And if it makes me feel emotion, then I feel like that's right. I have to trust that instinct that the audience will feel that same emotion.
Yeah. Really incredible performances on both of their parts.
Made me cry.
Yeah. Yeah, Joyce was tearing up.
The commercials, and she's like,
waterworks.
You're like, don't fast forward too fast, too quickly.
Well, can we talk about her reaction to what he says? I know, on just a selfish level as a viewer, I wanted her to go for the actual kiss, because I'm like, damn it, he's a hero and he, on some level deserves it and they should be together and blah, blah, blah. But he's admitting that he has deeper feelings than friendship for her. She's never given any evidence that she feels the same way. So she deeply appreciates what he's doing and she gets what he's doing and she wishes that he wouldn't, but she understands why. And, I thought that the move to just have her just kind of like kiss him all over because he's precious to her, not necessarily in a romantic way, was the right move.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When I saw her do just that, I was like, why not just give him that full-on, like, I love you too, but perhaps she's not there yet, but she still, cares so much about him. You're right. She totally gets it and
do you think she'll
appreciates
ever get there, though? I mean, I don't know, because she even said, like, it wasn't a question that she obviously doesn't love him in a friendship way, because she said, you're my best friend in the world. Like, I can't even do this for you. And the fact that she even said, I mean, I don't want to say, like, he was friend-zoned, but he was just friend-zoned, at the end of his life. I mean, she was willing to die for him.
Right.
So it's a love that, not a lot of people get, even in relationships sometimes, So
I would hate to say that whatever happens to Fitz would probably make her, like, realize that she does care about him in that way.
so you do think she has those kind of feelings?
I think now, maybe after she knows for sure how he feels, and he's still alive, we don't know how he's going to be afterwards, but perhaps this situation will make her realize that, yeah, she does. She feels that way for him. So maybe they'll just kind of develop because of this.
Look, there's no way to know if she'll ever have, romantic feelings towards him, that she'll ever be attracted to him in that way. But I think the depth of his self-sacrifice is something that she never could have expected, even from someone who's as close to her as he is, who has been selfless before, but, to give his life for hers in such a dramatic fashion is a real shocker. And it's gonna be interesting to see what their dynamic is now that she's armed with that information and that he may not be the person that he once was. Their minds working so incredibly quickly was one of the reasons that they were able to bond so
They
well.
won't be as in sync anymore. That would be so devastating.
Yeah.
But we're assuming that his mind's not going to work. He
Right.
could work. He could wake up and he could be even smarter.
Even smarter or fine. But I think it's an incredibly...
He'll finally get his monkey.
Right.
Too.
I think it's a very smart move on the writer's part to give him a challenge that is internal, not external. That's not trying to win over Simmons' affection. That's not trying to prove himself as an agent, but instead, being frustrated with his own limitations and trying to conquer them and be the best at his job that he can possibly be. And I think it's a very interesting place to put him at the top of the second season, and having Gemma have, sort of these potential feelings for Trip, but knowing what's going on with her best friend who has these feelings for her, it's very compelling, rich drama to dig into next year.
It adds a whole other level to their storyline, whole other layer.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see.
And we don't know how long he's going to be out of commission in terms of before he'll be able to come back with the team. And so, that, like, the team having to function without him, that could very much change the dynamic. Like, he might find that he might not fit in by the time it comes to where he
And do
can
they get
be
a
back.
replacement for him, like a temp,
Well,
a
they
temp?
do have Trip now, but
Right.
he doesn't do half the things that
But Trip
Fitz
is
does.
really smart. He could keep
No,
up
he
with
is,
them.
definitely. But their
But he's
skill
not a
sets are so
technician.
different.
Yeah.
He's not
so different.
Right, like knowing and being able to apply it on a highly, practical level are two completely different things.
That last scene where they were all just lined up in the facility
In the playground.
like just what was it, 5 of them, 6 of them without Fitz. That was just really telling, at least for a while, what
5
it's
of
going to
them.
be like. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to see where those two wind up. We were in for the shock of our lives when she burst through the water and there's Nick Fury. We knew that he was in the episode, but we were like, what? How on earth?
I forgot.
I just love that there's certain characters in here, like we were saying with May earlier, where you don't question that she can beat up all these guys,
Yeah.
and it's like, Nick Fury, how did he? Well, it's Nick Fury, okay. So you just kind of, you're like, all right, that works.
Once you get over that initial shock, you're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they justify it very quickly. We come back after the break, and Fitz, he mentioned earlier, kind of hopelessly, that he had tried to turn the EKG machine into a weak weak signal on the S.H.I.E.L.D. frequency, but he's like, well, no one's listening on the S.H.I.E.L.D. frequencies except for Nick Fury.
He's dead. He's got nothing else.
His ragtag team of deep cover commandos, I guess. He had at least one person flying a helicopter for him.
Leave it to Fury.
Right? And, you know, he has this little cube that he eventually gives to Coulson that's apparently got all the tools that he's possibly going to need to be the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. We'll get into all that, of course. But it was great to see him and great to break that up with that appearance. I'm trying to pull up iTunes reviews because you know what time it is, and I want to get it out of the way before our call with Jay August. You know, folks, I say it every week. What do I say? What do I say? You know what I say. Go to iTunes, rate and review the show. It helps us. It helps every show here at AfterBuzz TV. It's how we're able to get our wonderful sponsors who keep our lights on and our doors open, because it's the only way to prove that we have as big of an audience as we say that we have, and that they love our product. They love our podcast, and we've been so happy to have such wonderful fans this season. You've all been stellar, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen this much love, universal love, on an AfterBuzz TV podcast that I've ever been a part of.
You guys are so positive. We love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's really, really gratifying, and I want to thank you personally from the bottom of my heart for being with us for such a wonderful season. And, you know, just because the season's over doesn't mean you can't give another rate and review.
I know. Let's keep the conversation going, people.
You know, we want to be able next season to get our main cast in here. And I feel like having a glowing reputation, having a passionate fan base are the two key elements in bringing them to the table. So I highly recommend you go to iTunes, you rate, you review the show. It's going to help out everybody, including yourselves. All right. And
tweet at the cast. Tell them to be on AfterBuzz. That helps me immensely with publicists.
It does help a lot.
A lot.
All right. A few reviews to read. The best ever from Rogers Lax 24. I know Rogers Lax 24. This podcast is simply the best Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast that ever existed in the 9 realms. All 9 of them. I know. The hosts are great and they cover the entire episode thoroughly while still making it fun. Speaking of fun, Agents of Fun. 5 stars from Emmy Kent. She apologizes for this being a long review, so I apologize to you, Emmy. I'm not going to read all of it. But love your podcast. Discovered it around episode 10. Been listening to it ever since. I think I reviewed a couple of times before. I figured I'd leave one last one in honor of the last podcast of the season. She goes on to say, Matt, Megan, Joyce, and Kristin, you are all fantastic. Thanks again. See you next season. Have a great summer. Hail Coulson. That's for Megan.
Yes. Hail director Coulson.
I tweeted her, by the way. I was like, hell yeah, Megan.
Yeah. Yes. So 5 stars, great show from Big K66, a great cast with great theories. I never miss a show. Keep up the great work. # Hail Season 2.
Yes.
Enjoy this. 5 stars from Athak. Athak? Okay. I want you to let you know how much I enjoy this. The hosts are very informative and actually know what they're talking about. They have great chemistry with one another and bounce off each other well. Megan's laugh cracks me up. Can't wait till next season. She's blushing.
I love when people comment on Megan's laugh. So can everybody just comment on it in YouTube?
No. She'll never laugh again.
Please do.
On the show.
And finally, awesome podcast with like 1 billion exclamation points. 5 stars from Hiloka. Just started listening to this like 5 weeks ago. One of the best choices I ever made. Keep up the work.
Aww.
# Hail Coulson.
Yes.
All right.
Guys, we need another show, like all 4 of us during the summer.
That'd be rad.
Can we?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm
that'd be
gonna do on
so much fun.
Tuesdays.
Guys, we're getting a
know.
call, but I'm not sure if it's the guest.
Ooh.
Oh.
We should
Is
find
it from
out.
a 773?
Caller, you're on the line with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. AfterBuzz TV After Show.
Hi.
Hi. Jay August?
No, sorry, not Jay August Richards. Love to be on the show, but not.
Yeah.
So.
What's your name,
Yeah.
caller?
Who are we speaking with?
My name's Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Phil Coulson?
No. Also wish I was that guy.
Yeah. So what's going on? What would you like to talk about?
My question, I guess my comment is really just, I love the fact that Phil gets to rebuild, S.H.I.E.L.D. however he wants it to be, but
Yes.
can anyone but Nick Fury really be the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, because in the comics, wasn't it Maria Hill ends up
She
taking
took over, but
Yeah.
that's a very, very good question, Phil. I mean, the idea of S.H.I.E.L.D. being this massive secret organization, with a public face, even with all the tools that he can possibly have at his disposal, can Phil Coulson operate potentially a global network of spies? It's a decent question to ask.
Definitely. I think that he definitely trusted the right guy, obviously, and Coulson can definitely bring a new spin on S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, they got commandeered by Hydra before, but maybe Coulson can just totally make it better and stronger.
And I think, somebody had to be the new face just because Fury, is technically dead to, well, not technically dead, but like dead to everybody as far as most people are concerned. So he's still going to be pulling the strings. So I think it's just more of a title than actually completely being in charge of it for right now anyways.
Well, and if anybody can do it, I think, I don't think Nick Fury would hand it off to just anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think he gave it, we think he gave it to the right person. It's in the right hands. Phil, I want to thank you for calling. And that was an awesome question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
All
Never
right.
gotten a fan call before
That
on the
was cool.
show.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, feel free next season. Live fan calls. Let's
Yeah.
make it a thing. So, folks, we have Ward and John Garrett aboard the bus, and Garrett is getting increasingly crazy. Okay? He was crazy before the synthetic
Insanity
GH325.
eyes, my God.
Oh my God! And Bill Paxton must have been having the time of his life
Yeah.
Well,
on
that,
this
and with
episode.
his hair slicked back
Yeah.
and his eyes are all wide, and I can see the universe.
Yeah.
I want to know if there were any outtakes on his scenes that you saw that were notable.
I mean, there's always some outtakes. I mean, it was so much fun to cut, and he's such a fun character to cut. I mean, he's such an incredible actor. I pretty much anything that was like fun and quirky, I wanted to just cut it in there and,
Nice.
and just share it. I mean, because he's great.
Good
Yeah.
call. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
There were a lot of really good funny beats, like the comedic timing on this
Yeah.
episode for the funny bits were really good. So
cool.
well done on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, Ward, he's been taking orders all these years, right? And now suddenly there are no orders left to give. He's John Garrett is so very zen. You've done everything that you could. What do you want to do, my child?
To me, that was exactly what Ward, Ward always says he owes Garrett everything. And I think this is exactly what Garrett wanted from him. And this is exactly what Ward owed him. So it's like, that's it. That's the end of the game.
Right. It's like how what Coulson says to him later in the episode. You spent years following John Garrett as his lapdog, doing whatever he told you to do, betraying everyone who ever actually gave you a shot and cared about you. And now that he's gone, you're going to have to spend the rest of your life thinking about what you
Who
did.
you are without him.
And who you are without him, which is
That's
nobody.
scarier. That is so much scarier than being under the reins of Garrett.
Absolutely.
Poor
Because
Ward.
well, yeah, because as we know, he was conflicted about the whole thing, and he definitely protected, Fitz and Simmons from dying right there on the plane.
Arguably.
I stand by it.
Sorry, Steve, do we have a caller on the line?
Caller, you're on the line with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. AfterBuzz TV After Show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was calling for the originals. My bad.
See, this is why we don't do
Second
more
caller,
fan
you're on the
calls.
line with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. AfterBuzz TV After Show.
Hello?
Hey, it's Rachel, a.k.a. Owen Harper, who wrote a page and a half on bloodstain pattern analysis. How you guys doing?
Hi, we're doing well.
We talked a little bit about Fitz's sacrifice and things like that, but am I the only one who felt like the words "he's alive" from Simmons were the least comforting words ever?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh! Like as soon as she said that, I was like, "That's not an answer. That doesn't mean he's okay."
If she said he was okay, she would be lying to herself and be lying to the team. Like she did give a really scary but truthful yet vague answer. So heartbreaking.
I've got one more question more on the editing and technical side, because it's been mentioned that Marvel is very particular about how secretive they are, and I've actually seen that firsthand. We know that Winter Soldier's codename was Freezer Burn. Was there anything like that?
You know what? If there was, I can't remember.
Okay, we'll take that answer for now.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for the call.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, people can live tweet us. They can call. You know, if you're watching the show live, that's fantastic. That's one of the best things about the Doctor Who shows. There's a lot of folks who watch live and tweet at us when we're doing that show.
Yeah, and because this is an hour later than even the West Coast. I know a lot of people.
So,
it's a
you
little
know,
bit more
why not?
difficult. Yeah.
So, you know, Ward's trying to figure himself out. Raina, however, is deeply entranced by this new John Garrett because she can see the truth behind his eyes, that he is connected to the universe and that he is prescient and that he does have some knowledge that he can pass down to her. And, you know, this is a character who, when we first met her, she was compelling, but also ultimately totally expected her to die at some point this season. And now, you know, she's the only baddie of sorts that has passed on officially from season 1 into season 2.
Well, minus Graviton.
Minus Graviton, who we
and
just
Quinn's still alive.
And Quinn, but we didn't see Graviton. You know, like we didn't see any sign of the good doctor, Dr. Hall, within the Gravitonium. We know that he's in there.
I feel like we should almost like rewatch and see if we see that handprint like occasionally because there's scenes going on within there. I mean, I didn't notice anything. I was trying to watch, but then also watch them speaking around it because I wonder if they didn't do like a hidden Mickey, so to speak.
Yeah, like a little wink to the people who were looking
Was
for
there?
it.
I mean, you're very familiar with the footage.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. But in any case, we learn a little bit more about her in that she's intensely curious about evolution. It's why she got involved with any of this in the first place, because she wants to know what she is going to become. Now, we don't know necessarily what her background is, but she is very connected, it appears, in either the gifted or alien world because she knows and is you know, on first, you know, term basis with Sky's father, who we meet covered in blood later in the episode.
What was that?
I know.
That was so gross.
Well, let's talk about it now because it's not going to fit in with any of the other stuff later.
It kind of looked like he was out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe they don't have showers. I don't know.
I feel like he was in some kind of like Turkish bath, like a cheap one in Turkey. You know, where it's just a bath there. It's not
really
special.
shady massage place.
Yeah.
Just kind of chilling.
But like, what is he doing? He's covered in blood. He looks like he's got some kind of burns on half of his face. You know, the GH325 gave John Garrett and apparently Coulson, we'll get more into that later, visions of what I think are the entire universe. That's what John Garrett said in the last episode, that
That's what he
he
sees.
could see the whole universe.
Couldn't see everything, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't
So,
see something coming.
Makes me
That's for
wonder
sure.
once again, is Sky an alien?
She definitely is.
But is she Kree now? Because if her dad looked kind of bloody, but he wasn't blue.
Well, we know there are pink Kree, and there, you know, there are other alien, you know, life in the Marvel universe. Obviously.
My question is though, if she's Kree, they're shapeshifters, correct?
I know
Kree?
Skrulls are shapeshifters.
Okay.
I can look up if Kree
if Kree are shapeshifters, then how is it that Sky is keeping her, you know, shape without even realizing?
Why she looks human. If she's an alien, why does she look human?
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that she doesn't really know, like, concretely that she's an alien or the powers that she has. So if whatever she's thinking, that's what she is, and it isn't until you know
like
that
she
you're
believes
not.
herself to be Sky, so
Yeah,
she's
like-
gonna
so,
remain
like,
Sky
it's like
until she knows who she is. Then
okay,
It's kind of like in the Matrix where he can't bend the spoon until he thinks or knows
Until
that
he
can
realizes
bend
there
the
is
spoon.
there is a type of Kree called the Ruhl, RUHL, which can shapeshift, but the Skrulls are the race that primarily shapeshifts in the Marvel Universe. And I'm going to throw it out right now. They talk at length about the darkness within Sky and that she may be a monster and that, you know, if, eventually Ward can have her if he embraces his inner monster and you'll be monsters together and you'll rule the world or something.
One possibility is that, you know, that basically the Kree are kind of locked in evolution, so they themselves have done a lot of things to try to kickstart evolution again. Sky could be a product of that attempt to sort of, you know, progress their evolution again. And if Raina is really interested in evolution, she could very well be a Kree who's like, okay, you know, evolution is what we're going for. That's what we need.
Right.
So that could be it.
I also think, and I'm going to throw it out there, if she's got a darkness in her, that she may be a Skrull and not know it, which would explain why her parents were monsters. And this is just out of sheer hope of me wanting them to do the Secret War storyline for like Phase 4. But, you know, if she doesn't realize that she's a Skrull, and then all of a sudden they do Secret War, which for those of you who don't know is a big Marvel crossover storyline where, unbeknownst to readers everywhere, dozens of key Marvel characters had been replaced by Skrulls at some point in recent memory, and then suddenly all of them revealed themselves at once and tried to take over the universe. It's a great storyline.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, you know, if she's now a Skrull and part Kree, and Kree and Skrulls don't like each other. There's Scree. I'm just saying, there's exciting possibilities.
Evolve into new species.
Yeah.
Well, Kree and Skrull.
Yeah. The Scree.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Just created a new race.
Exactly. It's gonna be perfect.
Real quick, going
yeah.
back to Raina and Garrett, I did feel like she all of a sudden became more intrigued with Garrett after being totally cold towards him after finding out he wasn't necessarily the clairvoyant. But I liked how her attitude totally changed when he actually became more clairvoyant than before after he got injected with GH325.
Yeah, and I think I wish we could have been a fly on the wall hearing what he actually told her about the future.
I know. I want to know what he answered her.
Yeah.
What his answer was.
But you know, it brought her to Sky's father, who I assume we'll meet in season 2.
Yeah.
He looks
hopefully
super
sooner
gross.
rather than later.
Yeah, he
gross,
does.
creepy, murderer. Cool. So, you know, Ward is dispatched. He pressures Garrett to like give me a mission, tell me something, and he's like, "Go get Sky." He's like, "Perfect.
Okay.
That's all I want to do."
Which is so funny because like Raina was telling him to do that anyways, and he was like, "I don't want orders from you.
Yeah.
And it was really
I want
funny.
guy orders. I want orders from a guy.
I need Garrett."
I need Daddy's approval.
Dad, can I have another dog? I promised to shoot it this time. Yeah.
Aww. Well, it was just really funny at the beginning of the episode too. He's like, "We're done with this whole Hydra thing, right?" I think like being called a Nazi made him super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like we don't have
don't have to do this.
associate with Hydra anymore. Like they were a means to an end.
And it
No,
was
it's
funny
more of an
too,
uprising.
because like so many of the fans of the show were writing to us on YouTube and stuff like that. Like, why does everybody want Ward to get back in with the group? And I don't think any of us wanted him to, but we knew that they were going to try to redeem him. I think that was more what we were all
Right.
saying,
We also
which is
wanted
what they tried to do.
We wanted him to realize that he was in the wrong place, and he did.
Right.
But now
Yeah.
he's lost.
And if he's ever going to be a part of the team again, which if that ever happens, I'm not saying that it will, but if it ever happens, it's going to have to be a multi-season thing where he has to slowly build back trust up.
I hope he goes evil. I hope he's kind of a big bad. Like maybe he lies low the first couple episodes in the season 2. But as we saw, I feel like he was given orders when he was a kid from his bigger brother to like beat up his younger brother and all that kind of stuff. And then when he kind of somehow left that, he went back and burned down the house. So he kind of had this inner rage, but then he was taken by Garrett and, you know, told with orders that way. And now he doesn't have his orders again. Like, is he going to do something crazy, like go burn down a house or something? But on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Because he's older now.
I think he'll want to be better. Like he'll want to come back and fit in with S.H.I.E.L.D. and be a part of the whole reconstruction of S.H.I.E.L.D. He'll definitely be instrumental in that. And he'll
I don't
probably
know that he will be.
Well, I mean, he has
they'll
information,
have him in a cell.
but he has information that Coulson could use, you know, in rebuilding it.
That's
so.
true.
That's true. He
Potentially.
does
Or is he going to be like a
Yeah.
Loki character where he's just sitting there like, oh, you need my help, don't you?
Yeah.
You must
Well,
be
here's
desperate.
what I will say. I will be very, very surprised of two things. I will be very surprised if Ward rots in a cell for more than a season, which I doubt he'll be in a cell for more than a couple of episodes.
I agree with that.
And I also doubt that he's going to be completely evil. I feel like people are vastly overestimating you know, his evil streak, if that's what it is. This is a guy who was seeking approval, who was lost beforehand, found a family, burned them in favor of the, you know, the father that he thought he had. And, you know, the fact is, I think that he wants to change. I think he wants to redeem himself. I feel like he will be given that opportunity. I 100% believe that he will either be back on the team or he'll be dead. I feel like there's no other recourse for this character.
Well, and a couple, this is going back a little ways to when Kristin and I were on the red carpet. During your interview with Chloe Bennett, you know, we were asking a little bit of like, oh, what do you think about Skyward? You know, do you think that's a possibility? And this was before Captain America 2 came out. But she said on the red carpet while we were interviewing her that she thinks they're destined to be together. And, you know, whether that was just something she was saying to kind of, you know, throw fans off the track for when Winter Soldier came out, and then, you know, with his ultimate betrayal,
right.
you know, the episode afterwards.
Or maybe it's just Chloe being fun, and she seems like a really good friend with Brett Dalton, and
that's true too. But if that's her genuine feelings about these two characters' relationships, that says a lot about where they could go.
True. Let's move on to what Coulson and the gang are doing. After they leave Cuba, they're trying to figure out what the next move is. They've got access to all the Hydra stuff, and they realize where they have to go is cybertech. They come up with Coulson comes up with this plan, incredibly risky, working on a gambit, but they put it into motion anyway. With Sky and May together as one unit, Triplet and Coulson as another unit. They are able to get this like massive Humvee and complete with a rocket launcher, and open up a window for Sky and May to get inside and cause a bit of a disturbance.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I love every May fight scene. It's just awesome. Are those fun? Are those harder to cut because you have to do so many different angles?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're definitely a challenge, and there's a lot of coverage for them, and they take a long time to shoot too. That's why they have a separate unit just shooting those action scenes. But I got to say, Ming is amazing. Like the things that she could do physically. I mean, and you guys don't even see it all. It's like as an editor, I really kind of see how much she can really do. And she can really run, she can really fight, she can really do a lot of this stuff. And so they're fun scenes to cut.
And you probably have to be extra careful, too, because I know Casey was saying they do most of their own stunts, but obviously not all of them. So you have to be careful where it's like, oh, you can't see her face. So, you know, move it around that way.
It's tricky. Yeah, there's tricky things to do, you know. For sure.
Change the lighting.
Keep the action going.
Yeah, got to keep it flowing. And she is royally pissed off. And we're all so excited. You know, Sky holds the whole room hostage.
Hi, can you connect me with room 10,002?
Oh. So while we listen to this wonderful music. Hello?
Hello, elevator music.
Hey.
Hello, J. August Richards.
Yes, J. August Richards, you are on the line with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there. I am one of the thousands of people who are stranded at O'Hare Airport right now.
One of my family's from Chicago. My mom's boss, actually, their flight got completely canceled. There was like a small fire.
I got 6 of my flights got canceled.
Oh, my goodness.
All
no.
days.
Awful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for getting on the phone with us anyway. I really, really enjoyed, you know, everything that you did this season. And we were so happy to see, you know, at the very least, a bittersweet ending for the, you know, Mike Peterson character. You know, how do you feel about your time on the show and where the character is right now?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. It's so funny because I have a really dear friend who is my former landlady, and she called me tonight and said, you know, I really liked the finale, but, you know, I'm just really unhappy that you didn't get to reunite with your son. And and so she's always such a good barometer for, you know, what the audience is feeling for me. So, you know, I've always felt like I really wanted to see Mike reunite with his son, but I understood that there is no way that person, Mike, could be in the presence of his son after all of the things that he's been forced to do. So he feels like a monster. He thinks he looks like a monster, and he would have a really hard time reuniting with his son under these circumstances. So you know, I think it ended kind of perfectly for me. You know, I think that, you know, Mike has some things that he wants to do in order to feel like a hero. So, you know, and to answer your first question, my time on the show was just absolutely amazing. As I said on Twitter the other day, you know, what I thought would be a one-time guest star kind of turned into a character that lasted for the entire season. And not only that, but got to take out the bad guy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
How was it being on set for that? I mean, because you had so many awesome stunts. How was it performing all of those?
Wow, they were fun. They were a lot of fun. Some of them were really scary because some of the things I'd never done before, like I had to jump off of the second floor of the bus of the airplane, and I had these deceleration cables on me, which I had never ever, you know, worked with before. And it's one of those things where you come to work and you're like, I'm supposed to do what? So, you know, the very first take, it made it onto the gag reel, and it was just the most awkward-looking thing ever.
That'd be really fun to see.
Stunts. What's that?
That would be really fun to watch.
It was very. I think you'll get to see it on the DVD when it comes out.
Oh, wonderful!
But, that was fun.
Very cool.
Great.
Well, since that was your first time doing some of those stunts, did you have to undergo any sort of training or instruction to make sure that everything looked natural and make sure you didn't get hurt?
Well, no. You know, I think my my 4 and some change years on Angel was my stunt training.
Okay.
You know, I did a lot of stunts on that show. I actually really I do well at stunts, and I really enjoy doing them. So I usually volunteer to do them all, except for if there's some that are like way too dangerous or I don't think I can do them. I you know, ask my stuntman to go in. But you know, no, there's really kind of no training for some of the things that I had to do. You just kind of have to throw yourself into it, and I do kind of feed off of the adrenaline, so I dig them. I really love doing stuff.
Cool.
Great.
And then speaking of Angel, I'm a huge Angel fan and Buffy fan, so I actually was watching that before I came here today. But
Nice.
with doing that, is that how you got involved originally? Did the Whedons just call you up and say, hey, we have this cool character, Mike Peterson, and we kind of want you to play it? You keep involved with them?
You know, I don't entirely know how it all went down. All I do know was that I got a call the day of my audition to come in. You know, I got a call maybe at about 11 o'clock to come in at 3 o'clock. And I think it was one of those things where I just kind of popped into someone's head the day of, and they thought, you know, who might be able to do this? Jay. And so I went in and I auditioned just like everybody else, and you know, it was kind of one of those magical auditions that was, you know, very much kind of like my Angel audition as well, where I feel like I kind of really understood the character at the same time I was performing it, kind of thing. So just it went really, really well. And knowing Joss and everyone in Mutant Enemy and Marissa and Jed and Jeff, they don't really hand roles over to people. They, you know, you got to be right for it, and you have to bring something to it that they can use in terms of the story. So I think it was just kind of really a lucky moment, and I'm just, you know, I mean, it's been just an incredible ride. I mean, it's been in my life now for about a year and a half, and it's been one of the most exciting years of my life, so it's been great.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Do you have any like favorite moments from this entire season? You know, you said it's been a year and a half. What was your favorite moment to film, and like kind of as an audience member, what was your favorite moment like on screen for Mike Peterson this season?
Wow, well, that's tough.
It's a big question.
So I mean, I always feel like every episode for me I was playing a different character because so much had happened for the character from one episode to the next. So there's probably like a favorite moment in each episode, but I will have to say that I really, really enjoyed shooting the pilot, just because, you know, working with Joss is like doing like a really high-budget community theater. It's like you feel like, you know, or a high school play, in that it's really all about the creativity and about fun, and it's really easy. Not in the sense that the work is easy, but the environment is easy.
Sure.
So, yeah, I love that. I love shooting the pilot, and, you know, it was kind of a heavy episode for me, but I loved the scene in the very last scene where Ward shoots me in the head and Coulson is trying to talk me, you know, off the ledge, if you will. I liked shooting that scene. It was a lot of pressure because I knew it was a climactic scene, but everything was just working so well. And Joss gave me this note, as he does. He has this way of just like saying one thing to you that like takes you further than you ever thought you could go. So I loved shooting that, even though it was a very dramatic scene. It was very intense that day, for me at least.
Sure.
And then my favorite thing to watch, oh, you know what? I take that back. You know what one of my favorite things to do was when I got to ride on top of the cop car and on top of the police car and crash through the window and drag Sky out of the front seat. I like doing that because I've always wanted to ride on top of a car down the street.
Cool.
So getting to do that was kind of
a
dream come true.
Now, do you remember what Joss told you on the set of the pilot that took you further than you thought you could go?
I will never forget it, in fact. So, you know, it was that last scene where I'm kind of giving a speech about how the odds are stacked against the little guy, right? And so, you know, I know that it's, you know, one of the last scenes in the pilot, so I'm trying really hard to make it emotional and trying really hard to make myself emotional. And it was okay. It was fine. You know, the work I was doing was fine. But Joss just came over to me before one of the takes and said, you know, I think this guy has a little more pride. Like, he wouldn't want people to see how broken down he was. And
interesting.
That just moved me so much because I thought this guy is like at the end of his rope and he still has the pride to not let you see his emotion. And that made me just love the character and respect him all the more. And that take was the one that they used in you know, it's one of the close-ups that they used a lot of. So that was that's just one of those notes that a really great director can give an actor, because I don't mean to have an acting conversation, but I like directors who talk to me in the world of the story and not in the world of the production. You know, to me that distinguishes a great director from a not great director.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you couldn't tell us even if you knew, but do you think that that Deathlok is out there somewhere?
Do I think that Deathlok is out there? Out there where?
I mean, he's somewhere. He's still alive.
Is I mean, like, come September, is he gonna kind of show up again? Just kind of walk
Marvel,
by.
Man. I'm working for Marvel. I don't know anything.
I don't want to. We don't want to jeopardize any opportunities.
Well, just as like looking at him as a character.
No, man. Like everything in this entire process, I don't know anything. I can't divulge anything.
Just know that the fans would love to have you back, and we hope that we see you again before next year is out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh well, thank you so much. You know, I enjoy interacting with the fans, so it's been fun live tweeting the episodes and, you know, meeting them on the road at conventions and stuff like that. So, you know, I love being a part of this whole experience.
Do you think you'll head on down to San Diego Comic-Con? Because I'm sure they'll have an agents panel. It'd be a shame not to.
I believe so. I believe that I'll be doing a few panels there, one of which being, well, I probably shouldn't say because I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but yes, I will be there. Let's just say yes, I will be there.
Okay, wonderful.
Be fun if it was a reunion for a certain show. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, say that again?
It'd be fun if it was a reunion for a certain show.
Oh, wow.
Wink,
How
wink.
cool would that be?
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
You know, you guys had a mini reunion. Well, you weren't in the same scenes with Amy Acker.
I wasn't, not on this show, no. But that would be really cool. You know, I wasn't even alluding to that, but if that were to happen, then that would be really cool. I would love to do that.
All right.
We should make that happen.
Cool. Well, let's spread the word. It would be wonderful to make that happen. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so sorry we couldn't meet you in person, but Kristin's going to be interviewing you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Your publicist has been great. We've been going back and forth about trying to get you on for here and Spotlight On, so... hopefully when you're back in LA, please come in. We'll talk career and life journey and all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, assuming that I'm not still at O'Hare for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe I'll
love
see you when I'm home in June 26th.
I might still be here by then.
I'll deliver you some Lou Malnati's like deep dish pizza.
Oh, that would be nice.
You should grab some
please
while you're
cross
there.
your fingers for me so I can get on this flight tomorrow.
All right.
Well, safe travels.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
you.
you. It's really
Have a
good
great
talking to
night.
you.
All right. What a wonderful guy.
That was really
Oh my
cool.
gosh,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
So
Glad
nice.
that he could join us.
Yeah.
I love that we called a hotel. Thank you, Steven.
Yeah, thank you,
Rocking
Steven,
it
for
in the booth.
facilitating.
There was about 3 more steps of do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah.
Funny. All right, folks, we only have about 12 minutes to discuss. We got to talk about Ward shows up. Sky's got this fake bomb threat going on, and he's like, I know you're not going to use that bomb. You could have killed me, back last time. And she's like, you're right. I don't have to use this bomb. I got a better weapon. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, yeah. You slept with her. And she's pissed
She's
off.
really pissed.
Bam! And we're like, yeah, get it, man.
My favorite part was when he was like, this reminds me of old times. She's like, you were never on top.
Yeah. And we're like, whoa.
And then she throws him off, too.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
like, please.
Yeah, not only is Ward semi-evil,
She's sleeping with
but
the enemy.
he is lazy in bed. And I'm just like, this is egregious. Secret agent or no, you do your part. You do your part.
Team effort.
Now,
come on, Ward.
Granted.
I can just picture him just like
Yeah.
leaning back.
No, do your part. I mean, granted, May is an aggressive. We're not going to get into this, but
be fan fiction.
loved their fight
Oh
scene.
my god, when she stapled his foot into the floor.
Not stapled, nailed
it.
gun.
I saw
gun.
Ming-Na tweet out something, nail Hydra.
Ha! Nailed
funny.
it.
Nailed it.
But it was just really funny because after she had him like that, like all of a sudden he's like, wait, May, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, I got information about Sky. Stuff that you need to know. And then she crushes his larynx and he's unable to defend himself or explain himself or do anything.
I mean, he could write it out later if he really wanted to.
If he really wanted
But
to.
like he
He's
had
defeated.
her face next to like a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And then the second, the tables are turned, he's just like, wait, let's talk, we can work this out.
And she's like, bam.
I loved that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That, honestly, that whole scene was probably my favorite in the whole episode.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It's a close second to the Fitz and Simmons one.
Yes.
Yeah. You
And
put
then-
it together really well.
Yeah.
It was
Really did.
fantastic.
And then my third favorite moment. So obviously, our intrepid heroes, with the help of Nick Fury and the gun that killed Coulson, which Coulson knows how to use very, very well, we're able to, deal with the John Garrett problem. Deathlok stomps him in the face.
It wasn't actually the gun that I don't mean to.
Okay.
But it wasn't the gun that killed Coulson. It was the gun he used.
It was the gun he used to shoot
after
Loki.
he stabbed
My
him.
mistake.
No.
He
I just know
stabbed
somebody
him.
was gonna comment on that.
I appreciate that, Megan. Saved me from myself. But in any case, we take out John Garrett, and he looks pretty dead. But then, of course, he gets up and he climbs into the super soldier maker machine. And, he's like, ha ha ha, finally, I will take over the.
But seriously, when that was
Bam!
going on, like, I really think it was, like, kind of a nod to them having Star Wars, because it was a definite, like, it so reminded
Like
me of
Vader.
Darth Vader. He's becoming the machine, and then, he's like, didn't they tell them to cut off the head? And then it's like, boom.
And then, we use that 084 from episode 2 and just completely disintegrate him. And Coulson's just like, oh, I found it.
That was so cartoony to me. It was like Looney Tunes, someone blowing someone else's head off with Acme Dynamite. Like, that's what I thought.
It felt to me like the same level of like immature comedic glee as like when Hulk smashed Loki around in the Avengers. It was very much that
exactly
tone.
the kind of humor that I look for in Marvel.
Yeah.
Well,
Stuff.
for a moment, because Garrett was an android in the comics, I thought for sure that they were bringing him back for season 2. But then, just like that, they vaporized.
We need a new bad
Just
guy.
like, we're over
clear
that.
the
We're over it.
slate.
And I think that new bad guy is going to be Sky's dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we still got gravitonium out in the world.
As soon as that box opens up, like I'm just waiting for it. It's just gonna be like, we're gonna use. Oh wait, it's a man now.
Well, that and everybody in the fridge is still, they're still out on the loose.
They have so much to work with, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
The world is a big wide
material.
place, and they're right now. They're the building blocks to recreate S.H.I.E.L.D. But they're basically on their own. They still don't have any backup coming for any of the missions that they go on.
And Nick Fury shows up to help Coulson right when he needs it, and like there's still like gunfire going on, but none of the bullets are hitting Coulson. And for a second, I'm like, is this somehow a dream? Like he just got smacked super hard by Garrett, and then like Fury's just there, and they're not even ducking, they're not even protecting themselves. And I'm like, is this some kind of vision? But no, he's actually there, and he helps them.
All of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a vision he never left to heed.
No, it's like anywhere Fury is.
Series finale.
Whoa. Anywhere Fury is, he just puts out this cloak of protection.
Yeah. Well, that's what S.H.I.E.L.D.'s about. Protection. One word.
Exactly.
And afterwards, Coulson really gives Nick Fury an earful. He's not happy that he was revived, and Fury explains himself. Coulson's like, it was supposed to be only for the death of an Avenger. He's like, I know. And Coulson's deeply touched because he realizes that he was an Avenger the whole time.
He's definitely on that level.
Yeah. I just kept thinking, I'm like, he's probably like, oh my God, I'm like Captain America. And then, now he's gonna have to give him orders.
Right. So just because we're running low on time, of course, loved all of that. And, Fury saunters off to go do what he does. And Coulson is now director of the new S.H.I.E.L.D. We're all excited about it. It answers the question, how are they going to remain agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after S.H.I.E.L.D. is dead? Easy. You build a new one. And what better place to build it than at the playground with Billy Koenig, Eric's brother, who he did mention earlier in the season before he died. And
he didn't say twin.
Right. His brother. And for a hot second, I'm like, are they both androids? But no, Eric bled, when he died. In any case, glad to see Patton Oswalt back, hoping that he's more of a permanent fixture for season 2. That would be wonderful. So let's get into predictions.
Cool.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so what do we have? We have Gravitonium, Dr. Hall out in the world, Ian Quinn out in the world. We got Raina and Sky's dad. We got Ward rotting in a jail cell, armed with knowledge about Sky that we really, really want. Sky potentially has a darkness in her and could end the world at some point. We don't quite know what she is. And we have Coulson trying to build a brand new S.H.I.E.L.D. What are we thinking?
If Sky does have a darkness, I think they'll bring it out because all the most of the Whedon shows that I've watched, at some point, if they can have a darkness, they're gonna bring it. So I think they will, and I don't know. I still think Ward isn't. I think Ward's is going to become a bit more evil next season. I don't think they're gonna completely redeem him. I think, like you said, I don't know if he can actually go back to the team. Maybe he dies next season.
I think if he's going to get more evil, it's going to be because of how he no longer really belongs to anywhere. And it's going to just kind of eat at him. Like, that's what will be his drive for his anger.
I'm going to call it more self-destruction than evil.
Okay.
This is a guy potentially whose mental and emotional state are not sustainable, considering all of the terrible things that he's done in the name of a guy who only cared about cheating death and ultimately failed. It's a big deal. It's a lot to process, and hopefully we get to see a lot of that next season. Megan?
You're right. There's a ton to contend with. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how Ward's character develops. Personally, in terms of, since we were talking to J. August Richards earlier, I think Mike Peterson is going on his own little quest for redemption. I don't know necessarily if that means, kind of tracking down bad people, if that means, kind of tracking down Hydra, or if that just means helping people. But I think he's kind of going on his own little quest for redemption, and I think that means he'll cross paths with our team again.
See, I'd love to see you know, the Ward and Deathlok spin-off show where they're, you know, soldiers of fortune.
Road trip.
Yeah, you know, soldiers of fortune solving crimes and mysteries.
Oh, I
you
watched
know,
that.
and fighting the crime and stuff. In any
You know,
case.
sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks, but these two gumshoes, they're picking up the slack.
Wow. That's very special.
What do you think some predictions are? Or what are your predictions?
I don't think I can. Number one, but
I predict you'll be back for season 2.
I'm back for season 2. I can predict that. All I know is, you know, the writers and the producers are already getting into it, and they, you know, there's such a big plan at Marvel, and you know, so all this stuff it does tie in, and I'm sure they're going to have some great things in store for us in the second season.
Great.
How long's the
go ahead.
How long's like the break when you guys pick it back up?
I think we're going to start shooting again in July.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
so pretty soon. Yeah,
Okay.
and I just got to say, you guys are just, I didn't even want to jump in because you guys are just so awesome. And
Thank you very much.
I love hearing all your theories. And
Thank
it
you.
was really
Well, we'll
a lot
have
of
to
fun.
have you back next year.
Yeah.
That would be
definitely.
wonderful. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about the one big thing that we've not mentioned yet, which is the crazy drawing that first Garrett makes, and then Coulson makes an even bigger one. You know, when Garrett made it, I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this a map of the universe, which is what I'm pretty sure that they both are, or was it some kind of schematics or blueprints for some kind of device? I believe it's a map of the universe. Fury says that Coulson is fine according to May, but now we're seeing that that may not be the case, and that he may wind up as crazy as Garrett.
Yeah,
big and scary.
Maybe even crazier because he drew a much bigger, you know, whatever the carving map, and he probably sees more than what Garrett saw.
But is that because he was brought back, or I thought it had something to do with the GH? Because because they didn't have the same thing. So then, do we see Sky doing that as well later?
It's possible. It's entirely possible. But we have to remember, right? Out of everyone who's had GH325 in their system, Philip Coulson has had it by far the longest. He's had it way longer than Sky. However, John Garrett had way more of it in his system than either one of them.
Well, and he had like Extremis and whatever else they had in that little Molotov cocktails that Centipede cooked.
Exactly.
And is it because those guys are human too, and we don't know what Sky is yet, that maybe she's not going to do that because of whatever she's
because of whatever
she may
her
be
biological makeup is.
affected entirely differently. But just in terms of, you know, being able to make the map, Garrett got a huge rush of all this stuff at once, and his mind struggled to compensate, versus Coulson, who's had a small amount in his system long enough that it's starting to manifest in a slower fashion.
And perhaps more accurate.
Yeah, so we'll see, but to me, that's definitely the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
Well, it might actually be kind of more, I like the idea that it might be a map of the universe. It might actually be genetic makeup for, like, the evolutionary code.
Interesting.
Of, you know, what could potentially, you know, progress humans to be like more gifted or clairvoyant or whatever you want to call it.
I love all these theories.
Really quick, I wanted to ask David, what else are you working on?
Well, I made a feature film a few years ago. I directed. It's called Broken Dreams, and it went to some festivals, and we're actually going to release it for streaming soon. People can follow me at David Crabtree 13 on Twitter. And also, what else? I directed 5 episodes of Psych, so if you're fans of Psych, check that out. I was also the supervising editor on that show, too.
That's
great.
awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Joyce, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Joyce Ajouri, on Instagram at IRUOJA, and on the Sunday Night Turn podcasts.
Kristin.
You can find me, Kristin Carole 13 on Twitter. Also, Turn as well. I just did an interview this morning with Wolf Creek 2-star. You should definitely check it out. It's on Anatomy of a Movie, and I'll be doing some Spotlight on, so hopefully. Oh, and True Blood in the summer, but it's a little off still.
Wonderful. And Megan.
You can find me on Twitter at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on the Turn podcast on Sunday nights, and also the Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online panels.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. All my videos for SourceFed and AfterBuzz TV on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman. Thanks again for a great season. You're all the best. See you in September.
See you next season.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.